Musashi is a lonely boy who loses his parents when an illness spreads through his village. Instead of feeling sorry for him, the villagers think it is right because his parents never followed the Oni, the rulers of the land. By law, his relatives must take him in, but his uncle refuses. Musashi waits outside their home for days until they finally accept him. Grateful, he promises to help with chores. However, they set strict rules, telling him to avoid attention and never speak to his parents' friends. When he asks why, he is beaten. One day, he tries to do a kind act by delivering his uncle's forgotten lunch, but he is beaten again. From then on, Musashi lives in silence, feeling like an outsider. One day, he sees a boy named Kojiro practicing sword skills in secret. Kojiro is from a Bushi family, a group hated and discriminated against by the village. Instead of judging, Musashi is impressed and wants to learn. They become close friends, training and playing together. For the first time, Musashi does not feel alone. As they grow older, Musashi attends school where he learns about Hinamoto's history. Long ago, humans lived in peace until a powerful demon lord and his Oni appeared, ending human rule. The generals who fought against the Oni were defeated, but some of their descendants still resist. In the present, most people worship the Oni, believing that serving them will make life easier. Many aim to work as miners, extracting a special ore for the Oni. Musashi disagrees with this belief. The school teaches that Bushi warriors were villains who made life harder, but Musashi does not trust this version of history. He remembers training with Kojiro and hearing stories from Kojiro's father about Bushi who still fight for freedom. They once promised to leave the village, form a warrior clan, and fight the Oni together. However, the next day, the teacher announces that the class will join the mines to serve the Oni. The other students are excited, dreaming of seeing their masters, but Musashi is unhappy. After school, Musashi visits Kojiro and shows him a pickaxe, calling it his weapon to fight the Oni. He still wants to follow their promise. Kojiro disagrees, saying a pickaxe cannot be a sword. Musashi insists it is his own version, as he has trained with it while working. Kojiro becomes angry, claiming his whole life has been a lie because his father misled him about the Bushi and Oni. He accuses Musashi of not truly believing in their dream. Hurt, Musashi leaves, determined to prove him wrong. Kojiro later walks through the village with his sword, picking up trash while people mock him. He remembers his father's advice to carry the sword with pride, no matter the ridicule. He wants to protect Musashi from the hardship he has faced, so he opposes Musashi's dangerous dream. The next day, the students gather at a huge gate for the mining entrance ceremony. The guards take their belongings, including pickaxes, before leading them inside. Suddenly, the Oni attack and devour people, destroying the idea of them being kind rulers. Musashi tries to fight, but has no weapon. He grabs a pickaxe and attacks, but is badly injured. Even as others beg him to surrender, he refuses, declaring it is a Bushi's duty to fight. A fellow student reminds him that they are supposed to be miners, making him doubt himself. This hesitation allows the Oni to injure him again. He realizes he has been lying to himself to fit in, hiding his true wish to be a Bushi. When an official mocks him, he finally shouts out his dream. The official orders his death. At that moment, Kojiro arrives on a special motorcycle called a Katetsu mount, striking the Oni and rescuing Musashi. He gives Musashi his pickaxe and a note, realizing Musashi truly has been training. The official orders both of them to be executed for possessing the mount. The Oni rises again, and Kojiro finally admits his father was right about them being monsters. Seeing the fight as a chance to prove himself, Musashi plants his pickaxe in the ground like a sword sheath. Kojiro recognizes one of Musashi's old techniques. Musashi leaps, draws the pickaxe, and slashes the Oni in half. More Oni appear, and Musashi tells Kojiro he did not invite him before because he was scared, but because winning without him would feel lonely. Kojiro is moved and agrees to fight alongside him. They battle together, recalling their training. Musashi reaches out his hand, asking Kojiro to stay as his partner. Kojiro accepts. Suddenly, a red light appears, and the officials bow as a powerful being known as a Kishin arrives. Musashi and Kojiro ride the Katetsu motorcycle toward the Kishin that has descended from the sky, defeating Oni along the way and rescuing trapped miners. Musashi feels excited, thinking their childhood dream of forming a bushi band is finally becoming real, but Kojiro is not as eager. As they get closer, they spot a large red bird, only to be shocked when it transforms into a massive red monster. The Kishin tries to crush them, forcing them to speed away, but it smashes the ground beneath them, causing their motorcycle to fall. It then changes into its true form, a towering six-armed beast not seen in 5 years. Injured but still standing, Kojiro tells Musashi to run, yet Musashi remains unconscious. Alone, Kojiro faces the approaching Kishin, trying to defend himself, but the monster grabs his sword and attempts to eat it. Musashi wakes just in time to see Kojiro being swung around by the Kishin while holding tightly to the weapon. Kojiro struggles but eventually loses it as the Kishin swallows the sword. Feeling crushed by his failure, he remembers his father's words about a bushi's pride being tied to their sword. Before he can react further, Musashi charges toward the Kishin, determined to retrieve the weapon. Climbing onto the monster's stomach, Musashi attacks with his pickaxe, aiming to break it open. The Kishin thrashes and strikes, but Musashi dodges. His repeated blows, combined with the Kishin's own movements, weaken its body. Finally, with a strong strike, he shatters its stomach, causing the giant to fall. Musashi tumbles into its stomach fluid, and Kojiro fears the worst. To his relief, Musashi emerges unharmed, holding the recovered sword. He returns it to Kojiro, who is overwhelmed with gratitude. Before they can rest, officials announce that a bushi band fortress is approaching. Climbing a tower to see better, Musashi and Kojiro watch as a huge moving fortress appears but is blocked by a barrier. From inside, many bushi warriors on motorcycles burst forth, breaking through the barrier and heading straight for the Kishin. This is the Teada clan, a famous bushi band. The two friends are amazed as the bushi warriors soar toward the monster, swords ready. Their leader, Captain Neotorra, approaches Musashi and Kojiro, telling them to leave because it is too dangerous. Musashi insists they are bushi themselves and proudly claims credit for cutting open the Kishin. Neotorra laughs, explaining that damaging its stomach is not enough to defeat it because it regenerates quickly. Shocked, Musashi listens as Neotorra says they will finish the fight and orders the miners' evacuation. The Kishin begins to unleash bursts of fire, and Kojiro suggests retreating, worried for their safety. Musashi refuses, angry at the idea of leaving. He sees this battle as their first real achievement and wants to continue, determined to make their childhood promise a reality even if it means putting himself in danger. Musashi charges at the Kishin with full determination while Kojiro hesitates, torn between caution and loyalty. In the end, Kojiro decides to follow and rushes in as well. Musashi leaps forward, striking the Kishin's stomach and shattering it, but is shocked when the wound instantly heals. Before he can attack again, a glowing lasso wraps around him, pulling him away to the Teada clan's camp. At the camp, Musashi demands to be released, insisting that the Kishin is his first real victory. Captain Neotorra asks why he is so determined, and Musashi explains that defeating the Kishin is his dream, one worth risking his life for. Neotorra tells him he is still too inexperienced to understand the danger. He points to the battle, showing that it takes the entire Teada band just to restrain one of the monster's legs. Even so, Musashi believes he will regret it forever if he does not try. Breaking free from the lasso, he charges back into battle. This time, Neotorra does not stop him, recognizing Musashi's resolve and calling him a true bushi. Musashi begins breaking the ground beneath the Kishin, creating openings to attack. Remembering Neotorra's warning that he cannot win alone, he still presses forward. Kojiro then spots the creature's weakness, a horn near its navel, and shouts it to Musashi. Musashi aims for it, but his pickaxe breaks before he can land a decisive blow. The Kishin prepares to unleash a deadly fireball, but Neotorra steps in, praising Musashi's determination. With one swift strike, Neotorra slices the horn, delivering the finishing blow. Musashi feels frustrated that he could not land the final strike himself, but Neotorra reassures him that victory belongs to everyone chasing their dreams. The two leap away as the Kishin explodes. The Teada clan then begins absorbing the monster's power, leaving Musashi in awe. Neotorra declares their victory, and the warriors celebrate while the miners thank them for their freedom. Watching the scene, Kojiro feels emotional, recognizing it as something his father once described. Musashi recalls a drawing from one of the Bushi scrolls showing a similar moment. Kojiro's tears confirm his belief that his father was right. The Bushi are true heroes. Outside, Neotorra delivers a speech to the gathered people, promising to create a world without the Oni and asking for their support. The crowd cheers in agreement. Musashi tries to hide his frustration over losing what he saw as his first major achievement, but eventually bursts out with his feelings. To his surprise, Neotorra commends him for speaking openly and gives him a purple gem as a consolation. They share a light-hearted moment over the gift. Later that night, Musashi studies the gem and notices a marking that shows it once belonged to an Oni official. He considers throwing it away, but its design reminds him of a kaleidoscope. He realizes it can be used to see Oni. Curious to learn more, Musashi and Kojiro read through the Bushi scroll. They discover that the Bushi's duty is to defeat all Kishin, return their treasures to the land, and unite the country under one ruler, the conqueror, who would become king of all the land. Musashi realizes this is Neotorra's ultimate goal. The next day, he approaches Neotorra and reveals that he has figured out his ambition to unite the world by defeating all the Kishin. Neotorra praises his insight and confirms his determination to make it happen. Musashi argues that it is impossible, as no one has done it in the last 150 years. Still, he vows to stop Neotorra from achieving it, declaring that he will form his own Bushi band and take down every Kishin himself. Neotorra smiles at his determination and encourages him to try. With their decision made, Musashi and Kojiro leave their town, ready to explore the rest of the country and chase their dream of defeating all the Kishin. Musashi and Kojiro set off on their journey, promising not to argue. However, when their food supply runs low, tension rises between them. Kojiro boasts that he is better at surviving and catches several fish to prove his point. Wanting to match him, Musashi goes to the other side of the river to fish as well. While trying, he realizes their argument is pointless and decides to apologize. When he returns, he finds Kojiro injured on the ground. Before he can react, a girl suddenly jumps on him and pins him down. She introduces herself as Tsugumi and captures both of them, taking them to her clan's fortress where they are locked up. Later, the clan's leader, Lord Hideo, scolds Tsugumi for failing her duty of finding skilled Bushi and convincing them to join their group. He warns that during the next Oni attack, everyone in the town, including children and the elderly, will be forced to fight. Tsugumi protests, saying it is unfair to send the weak into battle, but Lord Hideo ignores her. Shaken and with tears in her eyes, Tsugumi leaves. She later visits Musashi and Kojiro to ask about their motorcycle, but they notice she has been crying. When they ask why, she explains that a herd of dangerous creatures called Kodama is approaching the fortress, and she fears the townspeople will suffer. Musashi sees how troubled she is and encourages her to speak honestly about her feelings. Tsugumi admits she does not want the townspeople to fight, but is too afraid to oppose Lord Hideo, even though she knows she is right. Her fear of standing up to him keeps her from taking action, leaving her feeling helpless. As the Kodama Oni herd approaches, destroying everything in its path, Musashi and Kojiro manage to escape their cell. Using his fishing skills, Kojiro hooks the keys from the wall. They find their motorcycle but still need to recover their weapons. At sunrise, they clearly see the demon herd advancing toward the fortress. Meanwhile, Lord Hideo gathers the townspeople, announcing his plan to mobilize the entire clan to fight the Oni. He promises victory, but the villagers protest, explaining they have no combat experience, having spent their lives farming. Ignoring their pleas, Hideo tells them to embrace war, frightening them further. When they try to escape, soldiers block the way. Suddenly, a smoke bomb explodes, creating chaos. Hideo spots Tsugumi and becomes furious. She openly challenges his plan, insisting that protecting the people should be the priority. Suspicious she is hiding something, Hideo searches for another attack. Tsugumi worries her distraction has failed, until Musashi and Kojiro appear through the smoke, swiftly defeating the soldiers. Grateful for their help, Tsugumi decides to face Hideo herself. She attacks with determination, inspired by her late sister's courage. However, Hideo, knowing her weaknesses, overpowers her and calls her useless. As he prepares to strike, Tsugumi spits in his face and refuses to obey him any longer. She calls the villagers to unite and fight back. Drawing strength from their support, she charges again, dodging his attacks and realizing her fear of him came from her fear of being alone. With the villagers beside her, she feels unshakable. Unleashing her weapon's full power, she vows to keep her newfound family safe. Hideo, now unsettled, warns the villagers they will be punished if they leave, but Tsugumi tells them life under his rule will always bring suffering. She urges them to stand up for themselves. Calling her weak, Hideo fires arrows, but she blocks them and declares she will no longer be afraid. She traps him with her green rope and slams him to the ground. With Hideo defeated, the people finally escape the fortress and flee from the oncoming demon horde. Everyone makes it out except Tsugumi, who remains behind to guard Hideo. As the demons get closer, people beg her to run, but she stays, knowing she cannot escape in time. Though terrified, she finds peace in knowing she has protected the villagers, just as her sister would have. At the last moment, Musashi and Kojuru arrive on their motorcycle. They reach out, grab her hands, and pull her along with the prisoner to safety. Musashi praises her bravery, and Tsugumi smiles, comforted by the recognition of her courage. Musashi asks Tsugumi to join him and Kojuru, and the three set off toward their next destination. Using the purple gem, Musashi senses a blue Kishin nearby that they should hunt. That night, he dreams about his childhood and remembers the time he threw a rock at Kojuru's father. When he wakes, he sees an Oni chewing on Kojuru's sword and quickly chases it. He uses a staff made from his broken pickaxe to strike the Oni's horn, but the weapon breaks. Musashi keeps attacking even though the staff keeps snapping apart. The Oni throws him away in frustration. At that moment, Musashi notices a cloaked man named Shirou standing in a strange field filled with swords, speaking to them quietly. When Shirou looks at him, Musashi feels a strange sharp sensation. Shirou offers him a sword, and as soon as Musashi takes it, he feels a burst of power run through him. Black crystals appear on his body, and he gains control over the sword's energy. With this new strength, Musashi manages to cut off the Oni's horn and save Kojuru's sword. Shirou, impressed, asks if it is Musashi's first time using a Kitetsu sword. Musashi confirms it is. However, right after the victory, the sword suddenly shatters. Shirou does not seem concerned and hints that Musashi might be special, though he is not certain. A girl then appears, calling Shirou her master and expressing annoyance about his obsession with Kitetsu swords. They leave without revealing much, and Shirou dismisses Musashi's questions by calling them hired fighters. When Musashi turns to tell Kojuru and Tsugumi what happened, the strange field of swords is gone. They continue their journey on Kojuru's motorcycle. Tsugumi suggests Musashi only dreamed it, but he insists it was real, describing how amazing the Kitetsu sword felt. Kojuru asks what a Kitetsu sword is, but Musashi cannot explain. Tsugumi shows her own weapon and explains it is a Kitetsu sword, the only type of blade that can break an Oni's horn. Kojuru guesses they must be rare, but Tsugumi surprises them by saying they can be bought. They arrive at a place filled with bushy fortresses, now turned into a small market town. Tsugumi explains that when a Kishin is nearby, bushy warriors gather, attracting merchants who sell Kitetsu swords, food, and supplies. Musashi gets excited about buying a Kitetsu sword, and Tsugumi takes him to find one, while Kojuru stays behind, worrying they cannot afford it. The group comes across an auction for Kitetsu blades. The auctioneer announces that 25 master-crafted swords are available. Musashi is amazed by the weapons but feels unsure about which one to choose. Mitsuru, the head smith, advises him to pick the sword he feels most connected to. She explains that there is a deep bond between a bushi and their sword, and this selection is an important step toward becoming a bushi. Everyone begins searching for the blade that feels right for them. Musashi is drawn to a bright red sword, while Kojuru chooses one that seems unnoticed by others. Mitsuru approves of their choices and guides them to hold the hilts. When Musashi and Kojuru grip their swords, a strange event happens. Both swords start glowing. Mitsuru explains that this is the sword's trial, where the weapon chooses its rightful owner. Kojuru feels his heartbeat quicken and begins to experience visions of past memories and challenges. After facing them, his sword glows blue, and shining stone wings appear on his back. This marks the trial's completion. Tsugumi congratulates him, and Kojuru feels deeply connected to his new sword. Curious about the glowing colors, he asks Mitsuru what they mean. She says that each color shows the soul's essence, and there are 5 colors, each giving a different power. Blue is the most common color, but a Bushi band should have users of yellow, red, green, white, and possibly another red for balance. They all wait to see what color Musashi will get. His trial turns emotional as he relives the tragic moment when Kojuru's father was punished and killed. Things take a strange turn when a black sphere with a huge eye appears before him. It transforms into a woman who feels familiar to him. He cannot hear her but feels warmth in her embrace. Suddenly, she changes into a huge man who crushes Musashi's arms and says he is not needed. Black glowing stones come out of Musashi's body, and Mitsuru sadly says he is forsaken. The glow fades, and Musashi drops the sword. Kojuru and Tsugumi rush to him, but he insists he is fine. He tries another sword, hoping the first rejection was a mistake, but he fails again. After trying 6 more swords, none accept him. Mitsuru then tells him the truth. He cannot use a Kitetsu blade because his soul is black, and no sword will choose him. Shocked and hurt, Musashi asks if he can change through hard work, but she says it is impossible to change the soul's color. She advises him to give up on becoming a Bushi. Sitting in silence, Musashi begins to accept that his dream will never come true. He remembers how other Bushi once suggested farming as an alternative. Kojuru and Tsugumi approach to comfort him, but before they can say much, a horde of Oni attacks, announcing the arrival of a Kishin at the mountain summit. Musashi feels the urge to fight but freezes with fear, remembering that he cannot wield a Kitetsu blade. In the chaos, an Oni attacks him, but Kojuru saves him using his glowing sword. Kojuru fights bravely, cutting down the Oni and rescuing villagers with ease. The people cheer for him, and Musashi watches from the side. While he is glad to see his friend smile, he feels the heavy weight of knowing his dream is slipping away. The Bushi are soon called to the mountain summit to face the Kishin. Since Musashi cannot join, he only wishes Kojuru and Tsugumi good luck. Kojuru does not argue and leaves with the others. Left behind, Musashi sits in sadness, wondering what he can do to get a Kitetsu blade. As he struggles with these thoughts, Shirou appears and tells him that he saw everything. Musashi meets Shirou, who surprises him by revealing black crystals in his body, just like Musashi. Shirou invites Musashi to join his team, and Musashi, curious, asks how he can become stronger. Shirou explains that Musashi must accept the black crystal to gain power. To prove his strength, Shirou cuts a huge square hole in the ground with his sword, showing off his abilities. He throws Musashi a blade and tells him to take the sword trial again, claiming Musashi could become the ultimate Kitetsu blade rather than just use one. Musashi refuses, saying he wants to wield a Kitetsu blade so he can fight alongside his friends, not become one himself. Hearing this, Shirou threatens to use Musashi's friends as materials for his sword instead, and says he will confront them at the mountain top. Musashi tries to stop him, but Shirou pushes him into the deep pit he created and tosses the Kitetsu blade down after him. As Musashi falls, he tries to slow himself by grabbing the wall but fails. Just before hitting the lava below, he catches the Kitetsu blade and sticks it into the wall to stop his fall. However, holding the blade causes the black crystals in his body to grow rapidly, making him feel like letting go. From above, Shirou's assistant Nanao watches and says Musashi only has 2 options: let go and fall into the lava, or hold on and turn to stone. Musashi's body weakens, but he smashes his head into the wall to stay conscious. He plans to use the black crystals as claws to climb, but a mysterious female voice tells him to hide. His body is suddenly covered in black crystals, protecting him as he falls into the lava. Inside his subconscious, Musashi meets the goddess from his earlier sword trial. She tells him to stay where he is for his safety, but Musashi refuses, saying his friends need him. The goddess, now enormous, grabs his hand and warns that returning would only burden them. She forces him to relive his past, showing his childhood loneliness after losing his parents and being mistreated by relatives. Feeling invisible, Musashi once prayed for someone to notice him. In desperation, he even threw a rock at Kojuru's father after being told it would make people accept him. though he regretted it immediately. The goddess explains that Musashi's wish to be a warrior comes from his fear of being alone, not from pure courage. Because of this, she decides he is not worthy of a Kitetsu blade. Musashi begins to turn to stone as she reveals her true reason for stopping him. They are connected in body and soul, and if he leaves, she will be captured. This means Musashi cannot go back, leaving him trapped with no choice but to remain where he is. The Bushi group reaches the mountain, but Shirou appears and claims he has already killed the Kishin. Kojuru asks who he is, but Shirou ignores him and walks toward him. 5 Bushi surround Shirou, demanding answers. Without hesitation, Shirou draws his sword and cuts down all 5 with a single strike, shocking everyone. He announces that he has come for their Kitetsu blade and will kill anyone who owns one. It becomes clear that he is a sword hunter who takes Kitetsu blades by killing their owners. The Bushi prepare to fight, but Shirou strikes the ground with his sword, splitting it apart. The force injures many, and the Bushi are quickly defeated. Tsugumi turns to Kojuru, asking what they should do. Shirou focuses on Kojuru, revealing that Musashi has already been turned into material for forging a Kitetsu blade and that Kojuru will be next. Kojuru becomes terrified, thinking Musashi is dead. Musashi, however, is still alive beneath a lake of lava, covered in black crystal and unable to move. The mysterious goddess keeps him there so he will not die, and so he stays away from the battle above. Suddenly, a green crystal lasso drops into the lava, wraps around him, and pulls him to the surface. The black crystal breaks away, and Musashi wakes up. Nanao appears and admits she tried to pull him out after he fully became a black stone to capture the goddess within him. But she made a mistake and brought him out too early. Musashi thanks her for helping him, even if it was not her intention, and hurries to find his friends. As he runs, he recalls the goddess's words about him becoming a warrior just to avoid being lonely, but he believes she is wrong. A memory surfaces from his childhood when he was praised for throwing a rock, something he later regretted. That night, he went to Kojuru's father's house to apologize. Instead of scolding him, Kojuru's father welcomed him in. Musashi cried, but Kojuru's father understood his actions and thanked him for being Kojuru's friend. He said Musashi had saved both of them and encouraged him to keep living without feeling worthless. He invited Musashi to join their family, and Musashi moved in, learning the ways of the Bushi alongside Kojuru under the guidance of his adoptive father. Meanwhile, Shirou continues his attack, cutting down any Bushi in his way as he chases Kojuru. He catches Kojuru and is about to kill him when he notices Musashi has arrived. Shirou is intrigued by Musashi's condition, seeing that he is only halfway fused with the black stone. This means the goddess has not yet judged him. Shirou becomes curious to see what will happen if Musashi is killed, as the goddess will pass her judgment then. Musashi, Kojuru, and Tsugumi prepare to fight Shirou, but Nanao steps forward, claiming the battle is hers. She splits the staff in her hand into 7 glowing green blades, revealing it to be her Kitetsu blade. She attacks swiftly, sending all 7 blades toward the trio in rapid succession. They dodge the first, but another immediately follows, making it nearly impossible to avoid them all. Shirou steps back, letting Nanao handle the fight. Musashi notices her impressive skill but believes he can defeat her. He charges forward as she sends 3 blades at him, which he blocks. She throws a 4th, and Musashi uses his Kitetsu blade as a scabbard by placing it into a rock, and then propels himself over the attack to close the distance. Nanao is caught off guard but manages to counter, sending Musashi flying back. The trio quickly comes up with a plan to face her together. Nanao realizes they intend to attack all at once, but she remains confident in her sword whip, prepared to keep them at a distance. Nanao feels confused when Tsugumi and Musashi suddenly run in the opposite direction, leaving Kojuru in front of her. She assumes they want to escape, so she ignores Kojuru and focuses on Musashi. She throws her swords at him, thinking she has caught him. However, this is actually their plan. Musashi blocks the attack because Tsugumi uses her whips to hold down the blades, giving Musashi the chance to cut part of Nanao's staff and destroy one of her 7 blades. This makes them believe they can defeat her. Before they can continue, Shirou steps in and tells Nanao to stop, calling her too weak. She steps back, letting him take over. Shirou notices that the goddess is still not moving, so he decides to end the fight quickly. He channels his power into his sword, forming a large black ring. Tsugumi becomes nervous because Shirou has never used this technique before, meaning they will now see his true strength. Shirou swings his sword, sending out a gust of wind. At first, nothing seems to happen, but Musashi senses danger, and Kojuru warns everyone to stay alert. Suddenly, a purple wall of light appears around the area. Shirou explains that this technique is different. The ground beneath them starts to break away, and the section of the mountain they are on flips upside down, causing them to fall. The Bushi try to cling to their swords, but Shirou strikes the cube, making them lose their grip and fall. As they plummet, time suddenly stops. The goddess appears and says she is the one who froze the moment. She reveals that Shirou is her enemy and wants to steal her power by killing Musashi. She offers to save only Musashi by using her remaining strength to take his soul away from the danger. Musashi refuses, saying he will face whatever happens together with his friends. He explains that his friends give him strength and purpose. The goddess feels impressed by his selflessness and accepts him as worthy. She shares her remaining power with him and briefly takes control of his body to show how it works. Time resumes, and black crystals appear in the air. All the swords begin to glow as their blade energy is drawn into the crystal. Even Shirou and Nanao's swords have their energy pulled away. The goddess explains that all Kitetsu blades hold a special force called blade energy. Only one black stone in the world can control all of this energy, and it belongs to the obsidian goddess herself, who has been inside Musashi all along. She summons Shirou's sword and calls him unworthy of it. She breaks the black ring's power and restores the mountain to its original position, saving everyone. Kojuru is shocked by Musashi's new appearance, which now reflects the goddess. Nanao tries to attack, but the goddess easily deflects all her blade energy. She explains to Kojuru that those with black crystals can control blade energy by drawing it in or pushing it away. This power is rare and dangerous, so people who possess it are called the Forsaken. Kojuru realizes that Musashi would be unstoppable with such power. However, the goddess tells him the power is already fading. Shirou recalls his sword. She explains that her physical form is weak and revealing herself has drained her energy, so she will soon return to sleep inside Musashi. When that happens, Musashi will lose the obsidian power, but enemies will still target him. She asks Kojuru to help protect Musashi, and he agrees, promising not to let any harm come to him. She thanks him and then turns back to face Shirou. Shirou, thrilled to see her true form, asks her to join him. She refuses, saying she will drive him away before going back to her rest. She says she needs the strength of all the Bushi present and uses her last power to link their blade energy together. She tells them that a Bushi alone cannot do much, but together they are stronger. The blade energy gathers in the air. Inside Musashi's mind, the goddess whispers that she is going back to sleep inside him. She tells him to stay alive because he is now her vessel. She worries because in the past, Kojuru's father, her old vessel, was killed before they could finish their mission. Musashi wants to know more, but the goddess says there is no time. She tells him to watch her final fight. Using the last of her power, she promises to defeat Shirou so he cannot take her. Shirou attacks, but the goddess's power blocks him and throws him away, destroying parts of the mountains. Everyone is safe, and Musashi still feels her power inside him. His friends come, happy about the victory, but he keeps thinking about what the goddess said regarding Kojuru's father. Tsugumi notices Musashi's sword is broken, and he is shocked. Mitsuru explains that too much power went into it. Everyone thanks Musashi for saving them and offers their help. Musashi asks Tsugumi to arrange another sword trial. She agrees, and the test is held in front of a large crowd. Musashi chooses the same sword as before. People worry it might fail again, but he is confident. This time, when he takes the sword, it shines red, showing he passed. The crowd cheers and rushes to him, even pushing Kojuru aside. Tsugumi explains that Musashi now has a rare and powerful red blade energy. Kojuru feels a bit left out as all the attention is on Musashi. Musashi pulls Kojuru aside to talk about the trial. Kojuru says it happened too fast for him to notice much. Musashi then tells him he saw their father during the trial, suggesting the obsidian goddess might know him. This surprises Kojiro greatly. That evening, Musashi and Tsugumi wait for Kojiro. He returns with food and supplies for their next journey. He shows them a map of places they have never explored before. The three of them feel excited and ready to begin their next adventure together. Musashi, Tsugumi, and Kojiro set off on a new adventure, traveling through a swamp. Without warning, a dangerous plant-type Oni attacks them. The monster grabs Tsugumi and Kojiro, but Musashi reacts without hesitation. Confident in his Kitetsu sword, he strikes at the Oni's horn with his blade energy. The blow causes a huge explosion, destroying the Oni. Musashi quickly checks on his friends and is relieved to see they are unharmed. While looking around, he notices another victim trapped inside one of the Oni's cocoons. Acting fast, he cuts it open and frees a young girl. She is alive and points out a cut on Musashi's face, but he ignores it, saying it happened while saving her. The girl smiles in gratitude. Kojiro quietly admires her beauty, and Tsugumi notices that both boys seem charmed by her. Musashi feels a bit amused that he can still find girls his age attractive. An elderly man suddenly runs toward them, calling out to the girl and referring to her as a princess. The group is confused until he confirms her identity. The girl introduces herself as Princess Michiru and explains she was attacked by the Oni before Musashi rescued her. Tsugumi asks for her full name, and the old man formally introduces her. They are traveling to the port of Hara for an important battle that will decide their country's future. Deciding to join her, Musashi and his friends learn that Lord Yusuji has called for a gathering there. On the way, Musashi tries to speak with Michiru, but she remains quiet. Kojiro asks about the Sanada Alliance, and Tsugumi explains that it is a group of allied bushi bands. Musashi grows frustrated when his friends keep changing the topic while he is trying to talk to Michiru. She is surprised that he remembers her name. As they travel along a narrow path, the cart they are riding hits a bump. Michiru is thrown off and falls toward a cliff. Without thinking, Musashi jumps after her. While falling, he realizes the danger they are in, but Michiru draws her sword, which releases blue crystal-like energy that slows their descent like a parachute. Musashi admires her weapon, and she tells him it reminds her of her father, who always encouraged her sword skills. She admits she avoids talking to strangers because she is shy, but Musashi laughs, glad she is not upset with him. Michiru suggests that Musashi should head south with her, but he explains that his journey is taking him east. She warns him that going east will be difficult and points to a towering black wall in the distance. To Musashi's shock, the wall is actually a giant moving Kishin. The monster crushes everything in its path, destroying towns and lands. Curious, Musashi asks what kind of Kishin it is. Michiru reveals that it is the first Kishin to appear in Hinamoto over 150 years ago. According to legend, this Oni caused chaos across the land, dividing the country into two sides, those who fought it and those who worshipped it as a god. The worshippers built mining sites to feed it ores, which made it grow larger and evolve into the Black Kishin that now covers half the nation. Musashi and his friends are stunned by the story. The old man adds that defeating the Black Kishin has been the greatest dream of Bushi warriors for 150 years, but no one has succeeded. If left unchecked, it will eventually consume the entire country. Musashi feels determined to destroy it quickly, but Tsugumi questions how they could defeat something no one has managed to in over a century. The old man proudly claims that Lord Yusuji, the leader of their alliance, is one of the nation's strongest warriors, known as one of the 5 great generals. He explains that defeating a Kishin on Awaji Island is an important step toward bringing down the Black Kishin. He invites Musashi and his friends to join them in this mission. Michiru and the old man then part ways, hoping to see them at the battle. Left alone, Musashi and his friends discuss what they have learned. Tsugumi wonders if her sister already knew about the Kishin, while Musashi asks Kojiro if their father might have known. Kojiro doubts it, saying nothing about it was mentioned in the scroll their father left. He checks the scroll again, and Tsugumi notes that every Bushi band keeps similar scrolls recording the names and traits of Kishin. This makes Musashi question why their father had one. Tsugumi suggests that their father may have been part of a Bushi band, surprising Musashi and Kojiro since they believed he had no outside ties. She then points out the Sanada band's seal on the scroll, hinting at his possible involvement. Deciding to search for more answers about their father's past, they agree to change their route and head toward Port Hara instead of continuing east. Tsugumi mentions that they will get to see the ocean, but Musashi and Kojiru are not particularly thrilled. Musashi wonders aloud what the ocean is like and asks Kojiru for his thoughts. Kojiru worries it might be selfish to change direction just to find out about their father, but Musashi and Tsugumi assure him that it is fine and that they fully support the idea. After traveling further, they finally reach the ocean. The sight fills them with excitement, marking the start of another chapter in their journey. Musashi, Tsugumi, and Kojiru enjoy the ocean view when Tsugumi spots a fortress across the water with the Sanada emblem. Excited, they decide to visit, hoping to find answers about Kojiru's father. However, when they arrive, guards refuse them entry, saying the Lord is too busy preparing for battle to meet ordinary bushi. The area is crowded with alliance warriors, and when someone asks which band they belong to, Musashi proudly says they are from the Kanmaki band. Kojiru adds that they are not part of the Sanada alliance. This earns them unfriendly looks, and the boy in charge orders them captured to verify their identities. Tsugumi and Kojiru are cornered, while Musashi tries to escape but is kicked down by a random bushi who calls him weak. At that moment, a Kitetsu mount marked with the Yusuji crest arrives, and everyone bows except Musashi and Kojiru, who do not understand its importance. Neotorra, leader of the Teada band and one of the 5 great generals, steps out. He teases Musashi before revealing he remembers him, amused by Musashi's informal way of speaking. While others are shocked at their casual exchange, Neotorra orders the group to be detained but then changes his mind, claiming Musashi and his friends work for him. Neotorra leaves to meet Lord Sanada, while Musashi tries to insist on seeing Lord Yusuji, but Neotorra refuses. Their guides take them to lodging, and Yamamoto, one of the escorts, examines the scroll they brought. Musashi whispers to Kojiru about getting close to Lord Yusuji through Neotorra, but Yamamoto says outsiders, especially Sanada's rivals, are not trusted. Kojiru feels down about not knowing his family, but Musashi promises they will find answers. Yamamoto warns them to avoid the Kishin battle, explaining that the one on Awaji Island, called Orochi, is 10 times larger than the Kishin they fought before and is one of the Black Kishin's offspring. Defeating Orochi is key to weakening the Black Kishin, but it has not been done in 150 years because of its danger. Musashi remains determined to meet Lord Yusuji. Tsugumi uses her lasso to throw him over the fortress wall. Inside, Musashi sees a man sitting on the roof. They talk about the castle and the man's family. Musashi asks if he is a bushi, but the man gives a vague answer, saying he wants to protect young warriors. Neo then arrives, addressing the man as Lord Yusuji. Musashi tries to speak, but Neo accuses him of trespassing, which could mean execution. Lord Yusuji spares him because of Neotorra's connection and orders him drafted into service at the barracks. Separated from Tsugumi and Kojiru, Musashi mentally prepares for the situation. Drawing from his rough upbringing, he uses his skill to quickly read the room and understand the hierarchy among the bushi. Tension rises as one warrior suggests that the strongest should lead. Akihiro, son of the Shimazu band leader, is recommended. Katsumi of the Amako clan mocks Akihiro, questioning if he is the legitimate heir. The Shimazu bushi laugh at the Amako clan's weakness, while Akihiro accuses Katsumi of trying to restore his clan's lost honor. The argument escalates until Michiru appears, warning Musashi to be careful in the upcoming battle. The dispute turns into a competition for leadership. They agree to a mock battle using the blunt side of their swords so the bushi code is not broken. The rules are simple. Last person standing or the one who pushes others out wins. Katsumi targets Musashi first, but Musashi skillfully blocks all attacks, surprising him. Akihiro then steps in, but Musashi deflects his strike with ease, shocking both of them. Musashi's opponents had misjudged his skill. Kenotatu swings at him 3 times, but Musashi blocks each strike. Feeling excited to finally put his sword training to use, he enjoys testing his skills. When their blades clash, Katsumi is surprised that Musashi can keep up. Musashi jumps into the air to strike, but Katsumi blocks it, drawing the crowd's attention. 2 girls cheer for Musashi, while the Amako band wonders about this unknown warrior. The Shimazu band grows annoyed and orders Akihiro to take down both Katsumi and Musashi. Akihiro tries to kick Musashi from behind, but Musashi dodges, causing Kenotatu to narrowly avoid the hit. The Shimazu members urge Akihiro to use the hidden blade in his shoe. With it, he kicks Musashi hard, sending him into a wall. Musashi is caught off guard by the strange weapon. Akihiro's rapid spinning attacks make him unpredictable, and though Musashi blocks some strikes, Akihiro's strength eventually overpowers him. He defeats both Musashi and Katsumi, slamming Musashi to the ground several times. Accepting Akihiro's victory, Musashi offers his hand, naming him their unit commander. He also helps Katsumi up, calling them comrades despite finding Akihiro unpleasant. Akihiro accepts the handshake but accuses Musashi of acting out of self-interest. Musashi denies it, but Akihiro publicly declares both him and Katsumi unfit for leadership. He announces they will leave for Awaji Island the next day under his command, warning that anyone who disobeys will be punished. Musashi notices the tense mood and suggests a more open approach where everyone can speak freely, but Akihiro rejects the idea. Disheartened, Musashi goes to find his friends, only to see them enjoying life in their new unit. Kojiro says he had thought of leaving to search for his father, but now feels they should stay. Tsugumi senses they might be forgetting something, but they dismiss it. Overhearing this, Musashi feels hurt that they seem to have forgotten him. The next day, their ship sails toward Awaji Island. At first, the journey is calm, but soon lesser oni rise from the ocean, surrounding the ships. Orders are given to form battle lines. Musashi attacks a horn as usual, but the blow is deflected. These oni have much stronger horns than the ones he has fought before. One oni strikes a ship, causing panic. Musashi climbs onto it and tries again to break the horn, but it is too solid. Focused on the task, he fails to notice another oni sneaking up behind him. Before it can strike, a red flash slices through the horn of the oni Musashi is on, then cuts the horn of the second. It is Neo, one of Yusuji's 3 strongest warriors, known as the 3 Dragons. Along with 2 others, he absorbs the Oni's power. More Oni keep appearing, shaking the ships. Fear spreads among the warriors, but Neo urges them not to panic and promises they will win. Musashi also tries to reassure them, but they ignore him. Neo chains the Oni together with his blade energy, and then shatters their horns one by one. Seeing this, the Bushi regain confidence, raising their swords in unity. Neo tells them that breaking a horn alone is hard, but anyone still willing to fight should step forward. Akihiro steps up and breaks one, surprising Musashi. Another warrior explains that Akihiro is not using only his own power but also channeling the energy of his band. This reminds Musashi of when the goddess gathered everyone's energy to form a single powerful attack. Humans have the unique ability to combine their strength, making them far more powerful together. Akihiro breaks another horn, and Katsumi joins in, also channeling his band's energy. Watching them, Musashi realizes they are not following Akihiro because they are scared, but because they are working toward a shared goal. He understands that while he has been trying to do everything alone, they have been growing stronger by fighting as one. Neotorra and Yusuji talk casually, as they have known each other since childhood. Sanada tells her they have found the obsidian goddess, which surprises her. He says that if they use its power, they can change the course of their battle, but warns that the enemy might know about it too and could try to ruin their plans. Sanada fears that spies may be hiding within their alliance, so he assigns Kuriko to search for them and remove them. Neotorra decides to leave the city to call for reinforcements. Meanwhile, Musashi feels embarrassed because the group mocks his poor skills in using the Katetsu sword. He notices he is the only one who is not helpful in battle and feels ashamed to ask to join again. Akihiro calls him an inferior soldier, and the others agree to ignore him, with some even suggesting he should leave. Musashi feels down and starts to think they might be right. That night, he packs his things, planning to leave, but Katsumi finds him. Katsumi encourages him to stay, reminding him that he has been supporting the team even if he lacks skill. Musashi feels motivated and thanks Katsumi. He then asks why Katsumi wants to lead the squad, and Katsumi shares that Awaji Island was his home before the Oni invaded. This inspires him to take it back. Musashi starts to wonder about his own reason for fighting, realizing he has not contributed much so far. The next morning, during the unit check, Akihiro's squad is missing one person because Musashi is not there. But to everyone's surprise, Musashi appears, ready for duty. The girls and Michiru are happy to see him. Even though he is still unsure of his purpose, he decides that if it is for Kojuru and Tsugumi, he will keep training despite the embarrassment. He thanks Katsumi again. As Musashi begins training to channel energy into a Kitetsu blade, Katsumi becomes strict, yelling at him for holding the sword incorrectly. Musashi is surprised at this change in attitude. Nearby, Michiru secretly sends information as a spy on Awaji Island. She is working for Yataro, a member of the Black Dogs, who is planning to take all the mineral ore from the island in 5 days and capture the obsidian goddess. They look at Musashi's picture and wonder why the goddess would choose such a weak person. Michiru is revealed to be Yo's daughter, who gave her the mission to find and kill the host of the goddess. She remembers how her father wanted her to be a capable weapon and named her his 3,000th daughter when she got her Kitetsu sword. She feels she must follow his orders to keep her value, but she is also struggling with her growing feelings for Musashi. During training, Katsumi tells Musashi to practice sword energy with someone else. Musashi calls Michiru, thinking he can connect with her. She is happy to help. Kenotatu and others doubt it will work, but Michiru manages to throw her sword energy at Musashi, and he catches it. Both smile, but suddenly black crystals grow from their bodies, merging into a single crystal that floats above the fortress. The people below panic. Inside the crystal, Michiru tells Musashi that her father knows about their situation and they must escape. Outside, the Bushi warriors struggle to contain it until Kuriko traps it with her sword energy and shrinks it. When the crystal vanishes, Musashi and Michiru are revealed. Kuriko accuses Michiru of being involved with the spies and suggests interrogating them both. Michiru realizes that Musashi might be exposed as the goddess's host. She whispers to Lord Yusuji, who orders her capture. Sanada also accuses Musashi of being a spy and orders his arrest. Musashi is tied to a cross in the center of the camp, claiming he is innocent, but no one believes him. Kojuru and Tsugumi shout in his defense, promising to free him. Michiru, watching from a distance, vows to save him. Michiru uses the black crystal's power to try and rescue him, but she falls into Kuriko's trap. The crystal's energy reveals Yataro's exact location on Awaji Island. Lord Yusuji announces their plan to attack the island, defeat the Kishin, and take Yo's head. He explains the Kishin's defenses and that they must break off its 8 horns to win. Whoever gets a horn will be rewarded with a city. However, Neo orders Musashi and Michiru to remain on standby until cleared of suspicion, angering the group. Akihiro walks away to deal with it himself, while Michiru manages to rescue Musashi by knocking out his guard. Musashi feels relieved when Michiru arrives but grows cautious when she points her sword at him. Instead of attacking, she cuts his restraints, freeing him. Grateful, he thanks her and quickly dresses in his robe. He tries to ask about the strange black crystal incident, but before she can answer, Akihiro enters. Musashi greets him warmly, expecting help, but is shocked when Akihiro points his sword at him. Akihiro demands to know Musashi's origins, claiming he is a hindrance to their cause and possibly tied to the Shimazu clan. Akihiro's behavior is different from before, and Musashi notices his more subdued tone. In truth, Akihiro has been troubled by the possibility that his father plans to replace him and his siblings with the son of a new concubine, possibly even sacrificing them in the upcoming battle. He hopes that defeating one of Orochi's horns will secure his position. Before their argument can escalate, Oni suddenly appear, addressing Michiru as their sister and offering to help her. Musashi is confused by their ability to speak. The Oni siblings reveal that Michiru's true mission is to obtain the obsidian goddess, even if it means killing Musashi. He defends her, refusing to believe it, but she tearfully admits the truth, breaking his heart. The Oni taunt her, suspecting she has fallen in love with Musashi. Black crystals erupt from Michiru's body, showing a projection of her father, Yataro. He orders her to complete her mission. Her siblings pressure her, warning she cannot return to the family otherwise. Musashi recalls his own painful experiences of family expectations and helps Michiru escape. Realizing why she loves him, Michiru stays by his side, but her siblings now see her as a traitor. They command the Oni to attack. Michiru shields Musashi with her crystals, getting badly injured. The siblings join in the assault until Neo, Kojuru, and other Bushi arrive to fight. The Bushi notice the Oni can speak and regenerate, and they overhear them talking about the obsidian goddess. Musashi tries to wake Michiru, but she is unresponsive. Despite knowing she is a spy, he refuses to abandon her. Kuriko steps in, using her blade energy to stop Michiru's bleeding instead of killing her. She assures Musashi she will recover and even suggests they be friends, unsettling him. The Oni siblings then prepare to devour Michiru to grow stronger, horrifying the Bushi. Yataro appears again, explaining that in their family, the weak are eaten by the strong. The two siblings merge into a massive Oni, and their shield blocks Neo's attacks. They reveal their father gave them Orochi blood, making them far more powerful. More Oni appear, heading to the town to attack civilians. The Bushi rush to defend the people and Musashi wants to join, but Kuriko, carrying Michiru, orders him to stay back and watch how the Sanada clan fights. The massive Oni easily deflects Bushi attacks and taunts them. Yataro urges his children to conquer the fortress and take the goddess, even ordering Michiru's death. Musashi, angered, rejects Yataro's twisted idea of survival of the fittest. Yataro claims it's no different from how the Bushi work, centralizing power in a single leader. Sanada steps forward, proving him wrong by sharing his yellow Katetsu blade's unique power with his comrades, enhancing their physical abilities. Kuriko explains to Musashi that yellow blade users can pass their energy to others, but this requires trust and teamwork. The Sanada warriors, strengthened by this energy and their family bonds, link their power into a massive chain. Together, they form a dragon-shaped attack and, led by Neo, overwhelm and defeat the massive Oni sibling. Even in victory, Lord Yusuji and Kuriko remain concerned about how the enemy breached their protective barrier. Their answer comes quickly. Shirou appears, revealing that he was the one who allowed the Oni inside. His goal is clear: to take Lord Yusuji's sword. Kuriko and the Bushi stop Shirou from moving by trapping him with their energy circuit. Neo moves in to attack, but their energy connection begins to weaken. Suddenly, Seiroku, a yellow energy user and ally of Shirou, appears. Seiroku then steps forward, declaring that the Sanada band will be destroyed. He cuts off their ability to connect energy, leaving them weak and open to attack. Neo realizes the danger when they fail to reconnect because Seiroku's nullifying power blocks them completely. Seiroku tells them they are trapped and can no longer rely on teamwork. He orders Shirou to finish them off, but Shirou refuses. Instead, Shirou shows excitement at meeting Musashi again and notices Michiru, saying she feels like the obsidian goddess. He says they will talk later and turns his attention to the surrounding Bushi. Musashi grows worried about Shou's powers and fears for his friends, but Shirou does not attack. Instead, he creates a portal under Musashi and Michiru, teleporting them away. They are shocked to find themselves swapped with part of Awaji Island, where Orochi's head appears from another opening in the sky. In this strange place, Musashi meets Yataro, who explains they are deep within Awaji Island. Musashi recognizes Yataro's voice as Michiru's father. Yataro demands Musashi hand over Michiru, but Musashi refuses. Yataro draws his sword, ready to kill Musashi and take the obsidian goddess. He also says the last vessel never told Musashi anything. Musashi asks if Yataro knows Kojiru's father, but Yataro does not. As Yataro prepares to strike, Michiru wakes up and holds onto Musashi. Yataro orders her to hold him still, but Michiru pleads for Musashi's life. She admits she has mixed feelings and cannot harm him because the thought of losing him is too painful. Even though she has no happy memories with Musashi, she still wants to help him and make him happy without violence. Musashi sees that Yataro, despite being a bad person, is still important to Michiru as her father. Yataro surprises Michiru by putting his sword away and asking about her plan. She says she wants to remove the obsidian goddess without hurting Musashi. Yataro praises her for her research and passion, and they hug. But Musashi notices something suspicious in Yataro's face. Yataro suddenly tries to attack Michiru, but Musashi kicks him away just in time. Yataro says goodbye to Michiru, and she instantly turns into stone and falls. Meanwhile, Orochi continues to destroy the Sonata Fortress. Neo orders everyone to evacuate and tries to fight Seiroku, but Seiroku wounds him and takes away his title as the Dragon Fighter. Shirou grows impatient, saying the Obsidian Goddess should have been taken already. Musashi confronts Yataro, demanding to know what he did to Michiru. Yataro says he only silenced her and that her stone form is her true nature. He explains that Michiru is actually an Oni, created from part of Orochi. She was meant to be a stronger creation but was seen as a failure because she had no great powers. Musashi remembers being called useless by his own family and defends Michiru, saying she is kind and hardworking. He begs Yataro not to abandon her. Yataro admits she is special and brings her back to life, but she has no memories. Michiru asks who Musashi is and who she is. Yataro says she is Michiru. Musashi demands to know what he has done, and Yataro admits he erased her memories because emotions would stop her from being loyal. Michiru runs to Yataro happily, calling him her father. Musashi, filled with anger, fights Yataro, but Yataro is stronger and knocks him away. Musashi realizes he cannot use sword energy without his own blade. Yataro creates a ring-shaped blade and aims energy at Musashi while Michiru cheers for her father. This fuels Musashi's anger, and he attacks again, but Yataro easily defeats him. As Yataro is about to stab him, Michiru stabs Yataro from behind with her crystals. She briefly remembers Musashi's name before forgetting again. Yataro knocks her away and warns her not to disobey, threatening to remove her emotions again. She tearfully agrees. Before Yataro can continue, Shirou's teleportation technique begins to wear off, and Musashi is sent away. Shirou calls out to Michiru, who is left crying. At the same time, the Take-Two band breaks through the barrier around the fortress to save the remaining people. Neo leads Musashi and his friends into a hidden basement under Yusuji Castle. There, he explains that the power of the Obsidian Goddess inside Musashi is the only hope for defeating the Kishin. Kojiru suggests retreating to avoid risking their lives, but Neo reassures them that they are not being forced to fight. He notices the wrapped item Tsugumi carries, which is Musashi's sword, and returns it to him. Musashi then learns that the plan is to use the sword to save him from execution and escape together. Neo praises Musashi's loyal friends but reminds them that they also have their own friends who need saving. This means facing Orochi and the enemy Bushi. Musashi agrees, making it clear that their mission is no longer just about him. The group moves forward and eventually reaches a chamber where the truth of the Obsidian Goddess is hidden. Neo tells them the ancient history. Long ago, when humans were losing against the Oni, a mysterious woman appeared and gave the world its first Kitetsu blade. She could control all blade energy and became known as the Obsidian Goddess. Even after death, her soul would live on inside certain people, her power remaining dormant until needed. Neo believes Musashi could awaken this power to unite all Bushi in Hinamoto. Musashi remembers that the goddess herself once told him he could not use her strength, but Neo still offers him a special treasure believed to awaken it. Kojiru is suspicious of Neo giving such a rare item away, but Neo insists it is necessary to defeat Orochi and rescue their captured lord. They cannot combine sword energy because of Seiroku's interference, so they must act quickly. Neo reveals that the dangerous warriors called the Black Dogs, also known as the Obsidian Eight, once served the Oni and used Kitetsu blades to kill Bushi for centuries. Musashi accepts the mission to face them. Neo gives him a goblet containing the goddess's blood, explaining it will change his body. Musashi hesitates, but Neo forces him to drink it. He suffers painful convulsions but then suddenly feels normal, showing no clear change. Disappointed, they continue their journey. Just before leaving, Musashi senses something awakening inside him. Soon after, they face the enemy on Awaji Island, defeat Orochi, and leave behind a sword. Kenotatu remembers a promise to Tatsuomi, who once asked him to protect the Yusuji Bushi if he were gone. However, Kenotatu had been defeated by Seiroku, which frustrates him. He attacks, but Seiroku dodges and prepares to kill him. Kenotatu catches Seiroku's sword with his bare hand, smashes it with the other, and breaks both the blade and the barrier of energy around it. With the seal gone, Kuriko orders the third wave, 2,500 elite Usuji soldiers, to attack the island and fight the Oni. Seiroku admits he lost strategically but claims he will kill all the soldiers, believing their victory is assured once Shirou gains the goddess's power. Kenotatu says that will not happen, as the Takeda Bushi should be arriving at Yura Mine. At the mine, Shirou is surprised to face Neotorra, who insists he is the only one capable of fighting him. Katsumi realizes this was part of Kuriko's plan, and Musashi suspects they were bait. But Neotorra says his real mission is to fight the Obsidian 8 while Usuji forces focus on the Kishin. Kenotatu continues fighting Seiroku, who dismisses his strength. Seiroku uses special tricks, trapping Kenotatu with invisible strings. He blinds him with blackout, burns his leg, dislocates his knees, and breaks his fingers. The Usuji forces get closer to the island, and Seiroku restores Kenotatsu's vision so he can witness their defeat. Seiroku reveals he was once a doctor and claims that powerful warriors are forced to take the most dangerous roles, suggesting Kenotatsu's friends are not worth protecting. Kenotatsu ignores the insult and wraps his sword in bandages, using them to steady himself. He tells Seiroku that the expectations of his comrades are his pride. Seiroku activates multiple attacks, but Kenotatsu turns his blade energy inward to cut through the strings. He warns that Seiroku's abilities are just tricks and will vanish once his energy fades. Some strings remain, but Kenotatsu presses forward. Seiroku uses extreme speed to cut him repeatedly, causing heavy blood loss. As Seiroku prepares to kill him, 2 Usuji soldiers arrive to protect Kenotatsu. He recalls Tatsuomi saying that while strong, invincible heroes do not exist, leaders must give hope to their people. Tatsuomi relied on Kenotatsu's strength to appear like a champion. With renewed resolve, Kenotatsu catches Seiroku's sword with his hand, stops his movement, and stabs him, defeating him. Meanwhile, the Takeda Bushi traps Shirou in a barrier. Shirou is surprised Neotorra intends to fight alone, as Bushi normally battle in groups. Shirou wears a special ring, and Neotorra feels they met 10 years earlier, though Shirou dismisses it. Neotorra declares the goddess is meaningless and should die, angering Shirou. He breaks the barrier and uses Void to trap Neotorra and others in a square filled with water, a tactic he uses on opponents he refuses to touch. Neotorra cuts the prison in half and frees them. Neotorra accuses Shirou of exploiting chaos for his own gain. The two clashes and Shirou redirects Neotorra's attack with a small opening. His strikes show no color, and he reveals his blade energy color is white. Neotorra reveals that Shirou is a white Bushi, the rarest type, while he himself is a blue Bushi, which is the most common and usually weaker than red, yellow, or green Bushi. Shirou enjoys fighting against blue Kitetsu blades but finds the battles uninteresting. As their duel continues, Shirou holds the advantage. Neotorra insists that even blue blades can become stronger than any other. Shirou tries to finish the fight by cutting space and bringing lava from a volcano above Neotorra. Neotorra surprises him by cooling the lava with water, turning it into stone. Aoshi remembers when he and others learned they were blue Bushi after the sword trials. Neotorra had encouraged them, explaining that they could connect with the soul of stone. This allowed them to control water and fire by using the hidden power within stone. Their abilities were close to those of the Kishin. Aoshi tells Shirou that Neotorra is not just a captain because of numbers but because of his great strength. Neotorra forms a giant tiger made of fire and water, which makes Shirou realize that all the ore in the area is reacting to Neotorra's power, letting him act like a Kishin. Shirou suspects this is how Neotorra escaped his earlier trap, and Neotorra confirms it. Still, Shirou defeats the tigers and teleports both of them to a place without interruptions. Shirou questions why Neotorra created a power that cannot cut a Kishin's horn. Neotorra says he cannot win by fighting like a Kishin and begins forming a small black ball from fire and water in his hand. He turns it into a small blade, recalling that he made this power for the Obsidian 8 after seeing someone like Shirou destroy his brother's group. Before Shirou can react, Neotorra slashes him, causing crystals to burst out of Shirou's body before he explodes. Neotorra returns to his allies, who are overjoyed. He admits he could not kill Shirou but destroyed his Kitetsu blade, removing him from the fight. This marks the defeat of the second member of the Obsidian 8. Neotorra's right hand is damaged, and he will not be able to use blade energy for some time. Meanwhile, Musashi's group fights Oni, but the Shimazu warriors easily destroy them. They tell the others to stay out of the way. Katsumi disagrees, saying they are not weak, and defeats an Oni himself, inspiring his friends. Musashi is surprised by Katsumi's strength. Katsumi explains that before, they had orders to hold back, but now, with no clear commands from Akihiro, he will act freely. The group splits into two teams, with the Shimazu in one and Katsumi with the rest. Yataro leads Michiru deep underground, where his plan will take place. He wants to protect Orochi personally now that Shirou and Seiroku are gone. Michiru feels a mix of sadness and rejection when he looks at her. They arrive in a room filled with young girls, and Yataro declares his goal to surpass all others. As they approach their target, Akihiro orders his group to focus only on Orochi. Katsumi warns Musashi that Akihiro wants the glory of breaking the Kishin's horn. Soon they face Yataro, who reveals he sacrificed all his daughters to merge with the Kishin. He transforms into a huge monster, the fusion of obsidian, man, and Oni god. Yataro joins with the Kishin and changes into a more dangerous form. Some of his daughters also turn into swords. With this power, he destroys almost all the Bushi, leaving only Musashi's group alive. The Shimazu clan decides to destroy him, thinking his horn is his weak point. They try to connect their powers, but the swords keep breaking their link. One sword almost kills Haruhisa, but Musashi steps in and saves him. Musashi then says he will help the Shimazu in whatever way he can. The Shimazu continue to struggle as the swords create barriers between them. Musashi begins breaking the swords one by one, making it easier for them to connect. Katsumi notices that Musashi is helping them link even though he cannot join their chain himself. Yataro then attacks Musashi, knocking him down. The swords keep coming, and things get worse for the Shimazu. Natsuki becomes separated and is close to being defeated, but Musashi saves him too. Natsuki realizes Musashi is fighting not for himself, but to make sure the Shimazu are not left alone. With Musashi's help, they finally connect to Akihiro. The boost in power allows Akihiro to break Yataro's horn. Kenotatu learns the last enemy Bushi is defeated. Neotorra arrives and says his forces are moving to help against the Kishin. Musashi's group then notices the broken horn has no Katetsu. Yataro, now in the form of a white serpent carrying stones from Yura mine, heads toward the Kishin. Neotorra explains that if the serpent reaches the Kishin, it will be fed and defeat their troops. Musashi's group agrees they must stop the serpent. The Shimazu accept Musashi as an ally and suggest they can form an 8-link chain if he joins. When Musashi involves Akihiro in the discussion, the others are uninterested. Haruhisa asks Akihiro to speak up if he has any issues. Akihiro then says they should not celebrate because their allies are still in danger. Haruhisa accuses him of only caring about himself and wanting all the glory, even if it means letting his brothers die. Akihiro admits they are just tools for him to gain power. Haruhisa punches him, refusing to listen anymore. Akihiro angrily throws something to the ground, which Musashi picks up. Fui identifies it as a force marker used for planning battles, and remembers the Shimazu brothers once used it when talking about their dreams. The group reaches the white serpent. Haruhisa tries attacking its horn, but it fails. He calls Musashi and Fui to link with him so Musashi can destroy the Oni. Akihiro tries to steal the link but fails. Musashi guesses it was Akihiro's dream to break the horn with his brothers. The Shimazu recall their childhood, when Akihiro refused to take the last spot in the chain and wanted Haruhisa to do it instead, promising to follow him. Akihiro then tells Musashi that he was wrong and he never wanted the role of smashing the horn. Akihiro takes the blade energy link from the Shimazu to make his attack stronger and strikes the giant serpent. His blows slow the serpent's movement, but the Shimazu wonder why he is suddenly so desperate for victory, as he was never obsessed with glory before. In the past, he was close with his brother Haruhisa, but things changed during the sword trial years ago. During that trial, Akihiro passes and is revealed to have a red soul, while the rest of his brothers have blue souls. Their father says the red soul is like his own and that Akihiro should lead the Shimazu clan. Akihiro insists Haruhisa should lead because he is stronger, but their father makes them fight using Kitetsu blades. Akihiro wins easily, and their father explains that red souls lead blue souls in battles against the Kishin. Akihiro shows no interest, yet their father orders Haruhisa to serve Akihiro for life. Later, Akihiro tells Haruhisa he never wanted the red soul and would give it away if possible. Haruhisa admits he always wanted that power. Over time, people praise Akihiro as a great leader, which makes their father grow resentful of him. Haruhisa cannot forgive Akihiro for not valuing the red soul, as it reminds him of their father's words. Back in the present, the serpent keeps moving. Akihiro orders the squad to all link together since the Shimazu alone are not enough. He tells them to stay still and let him fight. Though unhappy, they follow his plan. With the full link, Akihiro rushes toward the serpent's horn, believing his brothers will be safe. Before he can strike, one of Orochi's heads bites both the serpent and Akihiro. Shock spreads through the group, but the link remains active. While Orochi consumes the serpent, others warn the Shimazu to retreat before Orochi grows stronger. Musashi confronts Haruhisa, saying the elder brother should protect the younger. Haruhisa admits he hates Akihiro and believes he would have been a better leader if he had a red soul. Musashi points out that Akihiro's death would put Haruhisa in charge. Inside Orochi, Akihiro follows the serpent and thinks his death might bring peace to the others. He is attacked and knocked out, dreaming of Haruhisa once promising to protect him. Waking up, he finds Haruhisa attacking the serpent and is confused. Haruhisa returns to him a wooden piece from their childhood game, reminding Akihiro of their bond. Akihiro explains he left them behind to ensure their safety, as his duty as a red bushi is to cut the horn. He cannot both protect comrades and fulfill this task. Haruhisa's rescue broke the link, meaning they cannot cut the horn. Musashi suggests linking again, and Akihiro sees that the Shimazu, Musashi, and Katsumi have all entered Orochi. The Shimazu encourage him, but his injuries cause him to fail the link. Musashi offers to take his place, but Akihiro refuses, feeling it would make his life meaningless. Haruhisa says what matters is that they are brothers. This time they succeed, and Akihiro breaks the serpent horn. With the nourishment cut, Kenotatsu's forces strike Orochi's horns and defeat it. When asked who saved them, the Shimazu point to Akihiro, but he rejects the credit. Haruhisa praises him and says their deeds will become legends. He also tells Akihiro to thank Musashi for finding the wooden piece, and Akihiro promises to repay him. Yamada no Orochi is defeated, but the Bushi notice that the Kitetsu energy is not gathering in their swords. Kojiro, Tsugumi, and their group are still fighting Oni while looking for Tatsuomi Yusuji. The ground shakes and black crystals rise. Kenotatsu insists on finding Tatsuomi, saying victory means nothing without him. Musashi agrees and heads out to search for Kojiro's group. Katsumi and Akihiro follow him when they see Kitetsu energy moving toward the mountain. Soon, Kojiro's group returns with Tatsuomi, who says he trusted they would win. Kenotatsu happily hugs him. Tatsuomi tells Musashi that while he was captured, Michiru spoke to him. She did not remember much about Musashi but felt he was important. Her father told her to forget him and wanted to discard her. She believes everyone, including Musashi, thinks she is worthless. Musashi disagrees and sets out to find her, followed by other Bushi. They find the mountain hollow and jump inside, where a black sword floats. A shadowy figure appears, taking the sword. It is Yataro, now fused with Orochi, revealing that the Bushi only defeated an empty shell. Yataro says the sword is Michiru, his only successful attempt to turn a human into a Kitetsu blade. He explains he and Shirou tried to create a power equal to the goddess, but he surpassed Shirou, making the great sword of the Black Goddess. At first, Natsuki is not worried, but Yataro's attack forces Bushi to shield him. Tatsuomi orders everyone to attack. Yataro spins and slashes in all directions, cutting many Bushi and damaging the mountain. Musashi attacks but is blocked, and Michiru starts draining energy from his blade. Yataro explains she has powers like the goddess and can take energy from anyone. He unleashes a massive strike, killing more Bushi. When he attacks Musashi, his sword feels dull, as if holding back. Michiru claims she is her father's perfect weapon and will kill for him. But when she looks at Musashi, hidden memories surface, making her torn between loyalty and stopping him. Neotorra suddenly strikes Yataro, telling Tatsuomi to defend Musashi, who has the goddess's blood. Kenotatu confirms and Tatsuomi joins the fight. Neotorra and Kenotatu try to land a blow, but Yataro cuts them down easily. Tatsuomi tells the others to run, but Yataro attacks everyone, killing more Bushi including Katsumi, Haruhisa, and Tokisame. He then targets Musashi, but Kojiro blocks. Time freezes, and a portal opens with Michiru inside. Musashi enters, and both appear as children. Michiru admits remembering the past hurts. Musashi sees her birth, when Yataro rejected her for not being the goddess and abandoned her. Musashi realizes she was lonely. Michiru notices he also carries emptiness inside. She admits she remembers him and values what he brought to her life. Musashi invites her to find more things to care about, saying their emptiness allows more space to fill. She agrees and returns to her adult form. Michiru warns she cannot become human again because a black stone inside Yataro turned her into a sword. She asks Musashi to destroy it, telling him his power is awake due to the goddess's blood and he can master one of her powers. Musashi taps into the goddess's power, gathering blade energy from the surrounding Bushi and glowing gold. Kojiro and Tsugumi realize it feels like when the goddess once appeared, but this time Musashi controls the power. Yataro also begins absorbing blade energy, saying he is incomplete unless he controls it all. Tatsuomi confirms this, noting Musashi only drank 1/5 of the goddess's blood, so he can only use a fraction of her strength. The two clashes, but Yataro overpower Musashi and injure his sword hand. Musashi surprises him by stopping his blade with a finger, having realized the power is gathering into his body rather than his weapon, so he focuses it into his right hand. Tatsuomi recognizes this as a yellow Bushi technique. With the gold aspect of the goddess's power, Musashi launches a barrage of punches, breaking Yataro's armor until a black stone falls out. Knowing this is what Michiru wanted destroyed, Musashi prepares to strike, but Michiru asks to speak to her father. She faces Yataro, rejecting his belief that they share a dream of becoming a higher being, revealing her true wish was simply to spend time with him. When he refuses to understand, she tells Musashi they should destroy the stone. Musashi says that afterward they can search for new treasures together, but Michiru explains she may vanish once the stone is gone, as it created her. She is willing to disappear with her father, but Yataro reveals only he will vanish entirely, as part of Michiru is human. His body is already collapsing due to the forbidden technique he used to merge with the Kishin. Michiru tells him she hates him for being cold, cruel, and proud, but still says she cares for him because he is her father. Yataro remembers once longing to hear those words and reflects on his own lonely childhood. He finally sees Michiru as her own person, not a reflection of himself. Happy that he truly notices her, Michiru leaves with Musashi and they destroy the stone. Yataro's body disintegrates into Kitetsu. 2 weeks later, thanks to Tatsuomi's mantle of the war god ability, most soldiers survive. Musashi delivers food to Katsumi, who thanks him for helping reclaim his land. At an honor ceremony, Kojiro and Tsugumi show Tatsuomi a scroll with his father's signature. Tatsuomi finds no record of Jisai Kainmaki and believes it was a temporary alliance, but says Jisai may have been important. He offers to ask other clan leaders about him, explaining it is one of the 2 things Musashi requested after agreeing to help and drink the rest of the goddess's blood. The other request is for Michiru's release for 1 day. Musashi spends the day with her, enjoying food, exploring the town, and visiting shops. They meet Momori and Natsuki, who show them a ring said to keep couples together forever. Musashi buys one for Michiru. At sunset by the sea, Musashi gives her back her Kitetsu blade. She begins breaking apart, telling him to find something to fill the emptiness in his heart. She turns into Kitetsu, merging with her sword. Afterward, Bushi prepare to leave. Kenotatu apologizes for not defeating the enemy, but Tatsuomi says they remain 8 strong regardless. Meanwhile, Katsumi disappears from his bed, now surrounded by the Obsidian 8. That's it for today, my fellow men of culture. Make sure to like and subscribe the channel for more content.